All right. Good morning. All right. We're holding Daf Lamed Gimel. Oh, no one's here. We're holding Daf Lamed Gimel Lamed Aleph by the Mishnah Hey. Mi shezocha b'machto. So yesterday I didn't have the opportunity to copy, but now Baruch Hashem, there's beautiful pictures from the Mesifta, even the art scroll. Rabbi said this is the machta. Machta is a large, looks like a pot almost, and inside the machta is a spoon. In the spoon was the ketores. So there's one person that had the schus to hold the machta, not the machta sakesef. Oh, is that no. No. What? Yeah, I'm giving up. I'm going to sleep now. Yeah, I have to apologize. I stayed up the whole night, plus I davened. So if I'm not making so much sense, you let me know. All right, over here we're talking about something else. So one of the kohanim. So according to Tosfos, it goes like this: the Rosh Tosfos, the one that got the lottery, he was zoich the lottery for the ketores. He decided who the second kohen is going to be that's going to get the coals. So usually it's the guy right next to him, and he says, "Okay, you do the coals." So he takes a shovel of sorts, and he goes up to the mizbeach. Not a machtas hakesef v'olah l'rosh hamizbeach. Is there anybody else in there? No. Okay. Oh. So he takes a silver shovel, he goes to the top of the mizbeach. He moves the coals to the side, he goes for the good coals, because now he's trying to get coals for the ketores. There's a lot of sun on this side, but maybe over here it looks like it's okay. So you get some really good hot coals. Yorad, and then he goes down the ramp, and he pours the coals out from the silver shovel into a golden shovel. So why did he use a silver shovel first? Because you don't want to burn out the gold shovel. The Torah chasa mamonim sheYisrael, the Torah cares. The Torah doesn't want you to lose money, to stop waste gold. So you take it out with the silver, then you pour it into the gold. However, here's what's interesting. The silver shovel had 4 kav. The golden shovel only had 3 kav. So what happens when you pour something that has 4 kav into something that has 3 kav, that can only hold 3 kav? You have 1 kav that falls on the floor. Says the Mishnah, he pours it into the gold. Now the gold is only 3. And therefore 1 full kav of coals spilled onto the floor. So you have to sweep it up into the little stream, the amma that goes through the azara, like the drain, call it the drain.
That way it would block up the drain.
Not a problem. It's very wide, and there's a lot of blood that forced it through. Ubeshabos hayakaifa aleim psachter. So on Shabbos, there's something called a psachter. Now listen to this. This psachter is enormous. Comes out. Nobody really gave me the cheshbon, but it's just simple math. This thing is a half a core. A half a core is 90 kav. 90 kav. We're talking about the machta held 3 kav, 4 kav. What do you do with the extra coals that fall? 1 kav of coal. You take something that's 90 kav. It could contain 90 kav, which is 2,160 eggs. It could hold 2,000 eggs, this thing. And it has 2 things on the side, this thing. And you flip it over, obviously. It's very wide, because I guess it falls out. It could go be like, 3-4 feet to the side when it falls. So this thing, why do you need to cover it? Because all the kohanim go barefoot. And if they step on it, it's not a very good thing for the bottom of their feet. All right. Now, you can't sweep it up. Why can't you sweep it up? Because it's muktzah. Also because you might extinguish it in tzmechabe. Obviously, a very large kli that could hold 2,100 eggs. It could hold a whole lesech, which is a half a kur. It had 2 chains. What do you do with these chains? It's heavy. And we're going to see that they use this thing for 3 things. One of the things they use this giant thing, they would fill it up full of coals, the old deshen. So now it's heavy. So he doesn't pick it up like we pick up a pot of soup. It's like Zilberman's shalom pot, you know what I'm saying? It's massive. So he has to, so they drag it. Now, the problem is, you drag it down a ramp, what's going to happen? It's going to tip and fall. So in Mele, you have another cable, another chain on the upward end, on the upside. The guy on the top holds it back from tipping over. This psachter guy was used for 3 things. You could use it because there inevitably is going to be a problem with gechom every single day. But on Shabbos, we're talking about once a week, there's going to be a massive problem because 100%, 1 kav of gecholim is going to splatter all over the ground.
How was that problem with CSIL?
No, he's saying if you're worried about mechaba and muktzah, which muktzah there isn't really in the Beis Hamikdash, but anyways there was for this case, so why not? Okay, I don't know. Koifen oisa shvus is the Rabbanon, and this is, but there was a shvus on this particular thing. Now, same thing if a sheretz was found in the Azara, they didn't want people to become tamei, so they put this kli over it. And it was also used as the dump truck, or whatever you want to call it, this giant vessel to remove the deshen, as we learned. I forgot what masechta was. One of these small masechtas in the beginning. Basically, there's a trumas deshen. So it says you don't always do it. It's the beginning of this masechta. It holds 300 kur. It's a guzma. Remember, when the tapuach fills up to an enormous amount, then you use this kli to remove the deshen. Whenever you want. There's no specific time. It's whenever it's too much, it's getting out of hand, then you put in this, and then you pour that out into Beis HaDeshen.
But then it got poured into the stream?
No, Beis HaDeshen, that's different. Beis HaDeshen. What you're saying is the ones on the weekday, they would sweep it into the stream. This is something else. That's Trumas HaDeshen, they take it down and they get rid of it. Alright, Mishnah Vav. Higiu bein ha'ulam lemizbech. What's bein ha'ulam lemizbech? This is a very important concept. A lot of people, bein ha'ulam lemizbech. What's bein ha'ulam lemizbech? This is the heichal. This is the Kodesh HaKadoshim heichal ulam. This giant guy's heichal. We're going to see a little bit more of it, when we get to Midas tomorrow. This is the mizbeach. So where's bein ha'ulam lemizbech? In this area, right over here, it's still in the Azara, but it's between the mizbeach and the ulam. It's a special area. It's like in the opening. It faces the opening. Not alecho, that's a magreifa. Remember what magreifa is, anybody? Magreifa is a musical instrument. Magreifa, it's a musical instrument. He took it. Very interesting instrument. Vizarka, you throw the instrument, beinu ulam lemizbeach. It lands on the floor over there. It's so loud, ein odom shemea kol chaver b'Yerushalayim mikol magreifa. You can't hear yourself. Amen. I have a riddle, Rabbi Isai. What are the 4 things that my son-in-law told me this yesterday? What are the yeah, okay. It actually makes sense when you read it, but fine. But it makes a coil. That magreifa, why would it make a sound? You throw it. It's interesting. Okay. What are the 4 things that noitel schar kulam? It's equal to the whole entire, all the mitzvahs of the Torah. What? No, that's schar kulam. All the mitzvahs of the Torah. Tamid Torah. Who said tzitzis? Tzitzis. Sukkah. No, mitzvah. Shabbos. Rabbi said we are b'mikayim 3 out of the 4 right now. We're learning Torah. We're in the sukkah and we're wearing tzitzis. If it was yesterday, we do all 4. All right.
I should go put on tzitzis.
You can put on my talus. It's right behind you.
We should learn Torah.
All right.
If you sound tchelis, it doesn't count to make the fall.
He means he's still in his lumdus thing.
If your tzitzis on tchelis, it doesn't count towards the fall.
That's also a problem. Okay, well, we could try. He could try learning. We could try tzitzis. We could all try to do everything. Maybe we'll get one out of the three. Maybe this is a sukkah. I'm not even sure. I'm under the marzev now. I'm looking. Okay. So who got there? The guy holding the machta, the coals, and the guy with the ketores, they get to the bein ulam mizbeach. They're walking, right? They're on this mizbeach. They're getting the coals. They walk off the mizbeach. They come here. They're here. I'm sorry, wrong way. They're on the mizbeach. They're here. They need to get to this square, to the mizbeach apnimi, to the mizbeach ketores. So now they're there. Says the Mishnah, not it's a magreifa. Either it's an instrument or it's a tool. In Hebrew, magreifa means like some sort of shovel. And he throws it. It's so loud that you can't hear your friend talking. 3 things this sound helped us with. Any kohen. We're going to be getting into this whole shtachava. Once you're done with your avodah, you bow, a full bow, like they do in the churva. It's like pishu didayim reglaim. You go you lay down on the floor, like you saw a bunch of Africans, not African Americans, literally Africans go to the kaisel and they all laid down in front of it. Anyway, so the kohanim hear the sound, they know it's about time to do this. Another thing. Vuratuba, and the kohen runs and he goes to the heichal to be mishtachave. Uben Levi, and if you're a Levi, they're going to sing. It's an interesting lashon. They're going to sing the shira when they pour the wine, the nesachim. Vuratuba, whoever this guy is, the guy in charge of the Beis Hamikdash, the Zgana Kohen, some sort of guy, Machlokes Yerushalayim, he takes the tmeim b'shara mizrach. The Mefarish over here says one thing. The Rush, we're going basically with mostly like the Rush, it seems like. The Rush says that the reason why you put the tmeim, you line them up on the eastern gate, is so people shouldn't say, hey, look at these shkatzim, they're not even performing the avodah. So he says, no, these guys are not performing the avodah, they have a reason, they have a good excuse, they are tamei. Okay, another pshat is, literally to embarrass them. Next time be more careful, don't become tamei, you're a kohen, you know better. And look at these fools that touched the sheretz by mistake. These are the Rishonim talking. Hadron aloch, Omar lohem amemuna, Hadron aloch amemuna, Hadron aloch Omar lohem amemuna. This might be a record also. We're going to start a perek in the middle of a amud and finish it by the time the amud is over. Although some say that this is not a new perek, this is actually a continuation of the perek before. But in my Gemara it's a new perek. Says the Mishnah, now, they're here. They were here, they threw the magreifa, they made the sound, now they have steps. Not these steps, not to be confused with these Shir Malis guys. These are steps going up into the ulam. Okay? They start going up the ulam. Now we're going to introduce the 2 other guys that we discussed earlier. There are 2 people. One cleans out the mizbeach hapnimi. Remember, he removes all the ashes every day, every morning with his hands. And there's one guy that cleans out the menorah. Hayu magdimim lifneim. They have to go in front of the ketores people. Mishazacha b'dishim mizbeach hapnimi. The one that does the dishim mizbeach hapnimi nichnas v'notal asateni. Now, if you remember, a couple days ago, he had a teni, he had a bowl, and he took the coals from the mizbeach of the ketores, took the coals off, put it in his basket. And then he took the basket, and what did he do with the basket? He put it on the second step. Now we're going back to him. Now he goes back and he takes the basket from the step. Why? What we're trying to accomplish here is we're trying to get the guy that he has his leftover coals, and his buddy, the guy that cleaned out the menorah, we want them to go together. So he picks up his tani, he bows, and his yaitza. and he leaves. Mishazocha b'dishun. Now remember that the guy that cleans the menorah, it's two phases. First phase is he cleans out 5 out of the 7 candles, but he always leaves 2. One of them is the ner maravi, and the one right next to it, regardless if it's lit or not lit, the ner maravi, you can't clean out 1, you have to clean out 2, so he always left over 2. But there was something that happened between the first phase and the second phase. Either they maked the Ktoiris, or they were magreifa the Tamid, but they did something. Machloek is what they did exactly. So now he's back. He's back in business. Marav meaning, if the menorah is positioned east to west, so they are the closest to the west. Like in my picture, in this little tiny picture, you see the menorah is east to west. This is west, this is east. And they're closer to east, but it's called Ma'aravi because it's the second one. It's closer to Ma'arav out of the 2. So he cleans out the easternmost one. By the way, this Ner Maravi, I believe, I didn't say it, but I think that's why we call it Ner Tamid. It was a Ner Tamid. It was an ace. It was to show Klal Yisrael that Hakadosh Baruch Hu was in the Beis Hamikdash. Why? Because they only put enough oil to light through the night, the longest night of the year. But this Ner Maravi would burn for 24 hours.
And which menorah was this?
This is the menorah inside the Heichal, the menorah.
But not the other, no. But
There's other menorahs and stuff, but we only have one menorah. One menorah. The main menorah with the 7 branches, and the menorah that they clean out, and the menorah that has a stool to get up on top, the menorah. That had one, when Klal Yisrael behaved. So in the times of, even in the second Beis Hamikdash, when Shimon HaTzadik was still alive, 40 years, that light lit forever, and maybe that's why we have an Ner Tamid. I'm assuming that's the reason. Maybe l'zeicher that thing. Akoponim. Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. No, but you don't have to. Nobody comes on time. Nobody starts chakras at 8:30 exactly.
We have 15
But
minutes.
one time
at
we are
least.
on time. You want us to be
We're
late?
on 20 minutes, half an hour.
But we're learning Torah instead. Oh, careful of the table, because every time we touch the table, there's somebody in California that has going like this. So he would use that fire from that one that's lit, the Ner Tamid, and use it to light it in the afternoon. But however, if he came there and there's no nice and it was already extinguished, Medashnoi cleans it out. He takes a fire from the regular mizbeach. Not al sakuz. Now, what does he do with the deshen? What does he do with the leftover wicks? He puts it in that kuz guy that we spoke about. It's wider on the bottom, it's narrow on the top, and he puts it inside. Mimalo shnio v'ishtachav v'yotza. He takes the kuz. He finds it on the second step, next to the what do they call the tanning? Yeah, and then he does the shtachava v'yotza. We'll see this. Machlokes Rishonim. The Rosh says anybody can do a shtachava. The Smag says only somebody as he finishes his. Because the question is, how does a kohen just go into the Beis Hamikdash, into the Heichal? You're not allowed to go in there. You have to be performing an avodah. So the Rosh says any kind of ishtachava is an avodah. But the Smag says no, it has to be part of your avodas. If you had the schus of cleaning out the menorah, then you finish it off. It's the way you finish off an avodah by doing ishtachava. That's how it seems like from the Mishnah almost. Not as a kuz, ishtachava v'yatza. Mishnah base. Mishem zocha. Now, Stamazah, you should, the kasha here, why does it say not al sakuz? The Rosh asks the kasha, doesn't answer. Not al sakuz, it seems like that he had to take it, but he already had it in his hand because he was cleaning out before. Fine, tzorech yud. Misha zocha b'machto, tzober segel cholam agabi mizbeach. Now, the guy, he has coals in his hand. Now, what does he do with them? He goes to the mizbeach, the Ktoiris mizbeach, inside the eichel, and he puts the coals down, but he has to make them nice and flat, like a barbecue. Virididon b'shulei hamachto. He takes the bottom of the shovel and he smooths it out. He spreads them out. V'shtachava v'yotza. Again, we have the concept. You do a shtachava, you're out of there. Last mission of the parak. Misha zocha b'ktoires, but the other person that had the ktoires, hayonoitos habozeich mitoich hakaf. So now, this is the beautiful picture I might have jumped the gun earlier. Yesterday we discussed this, but we didn't have a picture because it was Shabbos. You have a larger, it looks like a pot. This is a machta. Inside is a bazich. Bazich is a spoon. The spoon he fills up with k'tairis, and it has a cover. And on top of that cover, we said yesterday, it has some sort of smartut, some sort of pad that goes over that cover. But the little guy is in the big guy. Says the Mishnah, he would remove the spoon from within the kaf, not the machta, it's called the kaf, removes it, he gives it to a friend, to another kohen. If some of the k'tairis fell out from the little guy into the big pot, into the kaf, so his friend gathers it from the pot. Meanwhile, I don't know if you remember, if you were here during one of those mesechtas, I don't remember which one it was. We'll just call it
Yomi.
Zvachem, Menachas, Chulin, one of those. The Kohen Gadol had to use his two hands to take the Ketairis. No. It was the hardest avoid in the Beis Hamikdash. There's a couple of avoids that are considered the hardest avoid. Why? Because he had to take this guy, and either with his teeth, he would pour it into his two hands. But the Kohen Gadol is a professional. He was taught. He went to Ketairis school, and they taught him how to do it, and he was able to. Who's the guy that's doing the Ketairis today? It said yesterday in the Mishnah, only Chadashim, because it gives a zgula for Parnasa. You see, it says zgula. So it's his first time. So he never went to school for Ketairis. So he doesn't try to mess around with this. His friend is going to do it. His friend is going to put it in his hand. So he's going like this. If there's leftover Ketairis in this thing, his friend pours it out into his hand. He doesn't try it on his own.
Not burning?
No, not yet. He didn't put it on the mizbeach yet. It's just spices. Now, here we're getting there. Says the Mishnah, a beautiful thing. One thing they have to teach him, right then and there, on the spot. You have coals that are burning right in front of you. Here, my Gemara, let's say. If I were to take my coals and pour over here, and I'm trying to spread it out on the whole mizbeach, what's going to happen? I'm going to pour over here. This is going to ignite, and then I continue on, and it's going to burn my hand. So they say very simple. Start from the furthest point from you and work your way towards you. Don't get burnt. So then he has to spread out the ketairis nicely, and he leaves. But he wouldn't perform the aktorah. He wouldn't put the ketairis on the mizbeach. He has to hear the signal from the person in charge. Why? Because nobody's allowed to be in the Beis Hamikdash at the time. Nobody's allowed to be in the Heichal. And if the person performing it, as we're going to see, the Kohen Gadol could decide any day he wants, he could grab it before the ladder. He says, I want to perform it today. He gets it. Instead of just saying hakter, like go ahead and perform the aktorah, he says it in a more mechubadik lashon. He says, Ishi Kohen Gadol Hakter. She uses a chashav lashon. Ishi Kohen Gadol. So everybody leaves. Whoever's there leaves. So then he does the aktorah. He bows. V'yotza hajan aloch. Hechelu oilim. Hajan aloch hechelu oilim. Hajan aloch hechelu oilim. Says the Mishnah. For real?
Yeah.
So tell me when to stop, and we'll stop.
It's not behind yet.
When the Kohen Gadol decides to go in and perform the avodah, they give him covet. 3 people hold him, like on Yom Kippur, the Chazan and Musaf. They when he bows, you hold on to the guy.
So what point of the avodah is this now?
When he's finished, when he's finished after the aktorah, he does the shtar. No. Anytime. So one holds him right, one holds him left, and one holds him in his precious jewels. So it could either be on his choshen, or it could be on the like he had on his shoulders. Somebody grabbed from behind, somebody grabbed from the front. Guys, v'kivin sheshoma ha'memuna koi raglav shekoyin gadol sheyotzei. Since the Menorah heard the Kohen Gadol coming, how did the Menorah hear the Kohen Gadol coming? He heard the bells. Your father-in-law just got it, Avi. He loves your joke. See, this naughty son-in-law you got here. Anyways, he heard the bells. Now, what's interesting, if you notice, the Menorah lifts up the pareiches. But why? Why didn't the Menorah, who could figure this out? Why didn't the Menorah pick up the pareiches when the Kohen Gadol was going in? Only when the Kohen Gadol was coming out. Why? The answer is because, like you're supposed to do, like when you open up the Kodesh, when you walk away from the Kodesh, you walk backwards. Kohen Gadol is inside the Kodesh, in the Heichal. So he's coming out of the Heichal, he's walking out backwards. He needs help. He doesn't want to bump into. He doesn't know where the pareiches is. The Menorah lifts up the pareiches. He keeps on backing up. Like like when we leave the Kaisel, you see it all the time. Fine.
Reverse cameras. Next
That's in the Mendy's Beis Hamikdash. Again. This is, by the way, what I just said is the Goin. The Goin says this vart. A diuk that it's only when you go out. Then everybody goes in, they do the shtachava and they leave. Says Mishnah Beis. Yosef, it's okay. Yeah, I know you're diving quickly. Get back here. So now, these kohanim, according to the Machlokes Rishonim, but according to the Rosh, the kohanim that are performing the Torahs, they come back, al malus ulam, they stand on the steps. They finished performing the Torahs, now they have to back up. They're going back to the steps of the ulam. Omdu harishonim. Who's the rishonim? The guys that did the dishon of the mizbech, the dishon of the menorah, the cleaning out of that stuff. The droi machem, they're on the south side of their brothers, standing on the stairs.
Is this because we're going to do Birkas Kohanim now?
We might. They have 5 vessels in their hands. Which ones? Hatani. Who holds the tani? The guy that performed the dishon of the mizbech. Biyad echad. V'akuz, and who has the kuz? That's the leftovers of the menorah, so that's biyad echad, the guy that did the menorah. V'amachto, that's the guy that brought the coals for the ktores, biyad echad. V'habozeich, biyad echad. V'kaf v'kisui biyad echad, and the giant one, this thing, the kaf, the big one, and the cover, which would be this, is in one guy's hand. Now they did duchening. After they did the Ktoros, the Tamid, they did duchening. What's duchening? So pasuk mefurish, it says you should bless my nation. Bracha achas. Bracha achas means there's no hefsek of amen. We say Yivarech Hashem Yishmerecha amen or Ken Yiratzin, whatever, but there's no amen. And the Beis Hamikdash you don't say amen. So Memela it's Yivarech Hashem Yishmerecha Hashem Panav V'Lechav Yikunei all the way to the end in one shot. Like we say today, in the schus of the Vilna Gaon, most of Klal Yisrael says duchening every day, even Hasidim, which it wasn't the minig, and it's not the minig in Chutz La'aretz to have duchening, but because of the Vilna Gaon, we take it for granted, we think in Eretz Yisrael everybody does it. No, it's Rabbeinu Agra. Uba Migdosh bracha achas. And you make one bracha in the Beis Hamikdash. In the Beis Hamikdash they would say the Yivarechu Hashem Yud Kei Vav Kei literally, Uba Medina Bekinuyav, and like we say today, the Shem Adnus. So this is very interesting. I looked today at one of the Kohanim that duchens for us every single Shabbos. How does a Kohen do it? Start looking. It's supposed to be with your shoulders, up to your shoulders. Now, Uba Migdosh Agab Yerushalayim. I saw one Kohen going like this today. So I don't know where he got it from. I have to look in the halacha, but I just noticed it today. Why like this and why like that? Because you want to make sure that the Shechina, there's 2 reasons. The Shechina is on the fingers. So if he goes like this, the Kohen in the Beis Hamikdash will see the Shechina because they had more Shechina there. So you put it above so he doesn't see it. Another reason is that his head should be underneath the Shechina. Fine. We're just going to finish this Mishnah, we'll be finished. 10 seconds. Since he's wearing Shem Hashem on his forehead, he can't go above that. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, if Kohen Gadol Magbias Yodov L'malam min hatzitz, shenemar v'yisa Aaron es Yodov Eloam v'yevarachem, have a good yontif. We might need a little bit more time than 6, but
the next daf is the Chazara and Lan Mishnah.
yeah, it is Chazara. Fine. I had to start learning it. Here, push that, please.
6 p.m.
Tomorrow's meeting.